God, that was 30 years ago, huh?
Kysymys mä sä puhunut mun sauna. Mä tiedän mun kysyn jos puhunut.
I think what I learned on Pusher is a very simple way of life, to work at least, which is just do it your way. Don't ever lose sight of your own vision. At the end of the day, you have to make what you want to make. I did the restoration myself, paid for it, supervised it, had to be done the right way, do it your way. And yeah, I had to go back and look at them again. I don't enjoy watching my own movies. I feel incredibly uncomfortable in them. I think seeing the first one, I made it when I was 24, was very nostalgic in that all I could kind of say to myself was, you were so damn lucky. Like I was so lucky to get a film made. I don't think I work any different than how I began. I still shoot in chronologically order. I still love the collaboration with the actors and the other creative people. I don't really think I've changed. Maybe I've become more relaxed about many things, but then I also have a family and other headaches to deal with. But I don't really see myself in any way different. After Pusher 3, it was like I didn't know what else to do that was sequelized, you know. I don't have an interest necessarily in part 1, 2, and 3. Maybe in the future I'll make another series of films. I have ideas, like we all have, but they have to be the right ideas. I think that when I was done with 3, I had come to realization that there was no reality in fiction. At the end of the day, it would always be manipulated. And I came to the conclusion that I was no longer interested in reality. I wasn't a documentarian. I was interested in unreality. You can say I decided to become Hans Christian Andersen instead, and using fairy tale as a complete opposite. It's a flip of a coin. It's like a yin and a yang. You know, you have a documentary and you have fantasy. And I like extremes, so I was like, I'm going to go from one to the other. And I think working in fantasy has been a lot of fun. So I decided to make Pusher 4 a few years ago, but as a TV show. And that became Copenhagen Cowboy, which is really Pusher 4. It has some of the same characters and some of the same worlds. But I was no longer interested in the way I used to, because also social media has kind of dominates that narrative now. Everything is accessible and most of it is real, or at least some can be very real, captured at the moment to moment. And those are far more, it's very effective. And I can't do that. But what I can do is I can manipulate it into my own version. That's fantasy. And that I became more interested in. I lost the lust for living in the real world and being more excited about stepping into the theatrical space, the space of unreality, like a stage. And so therefore, it's like the evolution, you know. Well, I think that if directors want to go back and change their films, I mean, I'm sure there's a reason. I don't have a need to do. I've never not have creative freedom to make the film I wanted to make. So there's nothing to really change. I kind of look ahead. So once I've done with something, it's been ostracized of my body. It's no longer in me. I have to kind of move on to something else.
There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain.
absolutely. I mean, I'm starting from the beginning with doing everything in 4K, and I'm doing all the restorations myself. So it's all coming from me. And you can buy them directly from me at bynwr.com. I'll sign your box set and send it off to you. I'm a huge fan of 4K. Like, I love 4K. I think 4K is like, amazing. Because so many films can be rewatched with even better quality, and who doesn't want that, you know? So it's kind of like a new layer of the new normal for me. So I decided to do all my films in 4K, slowly rolling them out, you know? I think cinema and television, for that matter, has had a very tough time in the last 10 years or so, 10, 15 years. Gaming, social media, VR, canvases are exploding, and they're constantly evolving because technology is allowing them to evolve. Movies and television, TV is becoming more and more just content that you almost look at while you're doing other things. And movies are still that window of exclusivity of the collective experience. But I think that movies also needs to reevaluate themselves. I remember when we were in Cannes for Only God Forgives, and after everyone had been booing me for so long that during my stay, I did say, look, you can be angry with me and about my film, but I am from the future, and I'm going to make something that's going to predict what it's going to be like if you want to make films in the future. And I was right, because right after Only God Forgives, the industry changed because of Netflix. Netflix was the game changer. And it changed not so much what we're making, but it's how we experienced film and content, essentially, how we viewed it. And I think that to justify or for a movie to exist in longevity, you have to see what a film can become rather than what it used to be.
Violence is like sex. It's all about the build-up.
Bang, bang, and then it's to the other wall. Now make it dirty, unique, interesting, never seen before, and violent.
I'm not that strategic, but I will say that everything is an evolution of something. And there can be a tendency when something is liked that everyone wants the same. But I don't necessarily think that's true. It's better to give them something else, or something different, or something that destroys your past in order to make something new, to transition. You know, obviously the two films are very different, but what ties them is myself and Ryan's interaction. However, I find that interesting. It's like taking something and turning it on its head. You know, it's taking the ultimate superhero in one movie and emasculating him in the next. It's taking one movie that's very poppy and another movie that's very esoteric. And that, I think, is what makes the world interesting, is that things can become different. It can evolve into other components rather than just always staying in the same repeat lane, because you very quickly run out of steam, in my opinion. I was very happy, but obviously, you know, a lot of harsh reactions and a lot of booing and screaming. But then I was like, that's kind of cool, because then you're like the Sex Pistols of cinema. You know, you're like the one everyone throws bottles at, but you can't deny its existence. You can't really criticize it, because I did it my way. The world will see it as it continues to evolve, and you just have to trust yourself.
So you never lose your vision when you had that strong reaction?
No, on the contrary, it's like energy. It's like, just wait for the next one.
I love that.
I'm like you. I have no regrets about Only God Forgives. I think it's a masterpiece, and it is. I just didn't make it very expensive.
Is there a doctor in the house? We need to get a medic in here. Is there a doctor around?
When you were mentioning 2001, Citizen Kane, you forgot to add Drive. But we'll let that slip.
We won't know about Drive for another 30 years.
30 seconds.
Whether it lives or dies. I'm talking about films. 2001 was made in 1968.
I made this film about 4 years ago, so it's about
4
time.
years is a zip. It's not even a blip. It's not a pimple on the asshole of humanity.
What was funny about talking to Billy Friedkin was that he had a man who had struggled a lot in Hollywood and started very successfully at a young age and then had gone into Sorceress and, was still traumatized by that experience after so many years. And I think that was what was so sad in a way, that it had such an effect on him. It's a little bit like Michael Cimino doing Heaven's Gate. These amazing films, both Sorceress and Heaven's Gate, are probably their best films, for some reason get so destroyed and then they lose sight of themselves or they lose their confidence and it affects all the other movies they make afterwards. And I was like, I'm never going to be like that because I'm right, you're wrong. I've done 2 shows, one with Amazon, one with Netflix, and I like what I was making, obviously, but I don't know how much I want to continue. I may want to take a break and go and make movies again. I've decided to do more visual arts, and trying to find other areas of creativity. But I think it's time to go make a film again.
You said you work on 2 shows, but you work on The Famous Five also.
So The Famous Five was a television show that I just, executive produced or created, but I had no involvement in it. Otherwise, I just created the kind of concept and the story based on these very famous books. The Famous Five was more because my kids would read the books when they were young. I remember my mother reading me the books, so it was more like a past history thing that came up as an opportunity. Well, if something is interesting, why not look at it? I've had some wonderful meetings in Hollywood, met wonderful people, but in the end, I like my freedom. That's all I really want, is just to be free. When you work in Hollywood, there is a contract. Some people love that and can work within that. It's maybe not so much my thing right now, but who knows, maybe next year I'll do a big superhero movie. That could be fun, maybe, I don't know. I'm pretty open to anything, but at the same time, at the end, you should just make what makes you happy. It's one thing having creative control, which is easier enough, but it's where all the money that's invested puts a burden on you, because all that money has to get recouped. And then you have to make a certain type of movie. You don't have the freedom to do whatever you want because you're a slave to the economics. If your film costs $200 million or $100 million, you need to make $300-400 million to break even. That already puts a strain on what kind of movie can you make. And I don't want any conditions on me at all. You have to be completely free. In the beginning, a lot of people were talking about another Drive, but it was like, that would be the worst idea I've ever heard of.
So never?
Never. I've been very lucky to live a fun life, and it has nothing to do with fame. You realize very quickly. It has that I've had opportunities and I've been able to work with people, I've met people, I've spoken with people, and it's all been a lot of fun. But I think when I started, the idea of being seen was very essential, the idea of fame, and fame being it's like an opportunity, it's like a stage. One thing is becoming famous, the next, what are you going to do with it? And obviously, it's like anything. It's an opportunity.
Jeg får da heller ikke noget kærlighed. Jeg får arbejde hele tiden. Jeg skal jo også arbejde. Vi skal være her i Bangkok i 6 måneder. Yang han skal lave sin næste film, og jeg har sagt ja til filmeprocessen. Det er nyt, at vi er sammen med ham, når han filmer. Sidst, da han lavede Drive, der blev jeg hjemme i Danmark med børnene. Det straks over 10 måneder, og det var bare for hårdt at være væk fra hinanden.
My daily life is I have a routine. I wake up, I do 2 hours sports every day. Then I usually have lunch. Then I get yelled at by my kids. I work at night and then try not to get to bed too late. And then Friday comes and it's weekend and you try to relax a little more and the next day is Monday.
You watch movies?
I used to watch a lot of movies when I was a lot younger, but now it's just harder and harder. There's other things that I find interesting.
Like what?
Well, I did my first exhibition that just opened in Tokyo, and that's been a lot of fun to do that.
A collaboration with Hideo Kojima?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I created an exhibition that opened in Friday last week in Tokyo, where I built this installation between us.
I saw my wife and my daughter in the procession. Hey, it's me! Where are you going? Wait! Don't leave without me! No! Don't go! Please, don't go!
And you are in Death Stranding 2 also.
I am Heartman, and Heartman is forever in Death Stranding. I think that don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Okay. Can you tease us something?
Well, believe everything you read on the internet.
Okay.
Biffen? Vi går ind og se en fed film.